Long before it became the fortress of despair known to modern wizards, Azkaban did not exist on any map. It was a blank space in the vast freezing waters of the North Sea, a place intentionally forgotten. But the North Sea hid a terrible secret, an island kept invisible to both Muggle and magical eyes by powerful ancient concealment charms. And on that island lived a man whose name has been nearly erased from history, Ekrizdis. He was a sorcerer of unknown nationality, but of undisputed, terrifying power. Ekrizdis was a practitioner of the worst kinds of dark magic. Alone in his towering, jagged fortress, he spent decades performing unspeakable experiments, testing the boundaries of the human soul and the dark arts. But Ekrizdis was not just a hermit, he was a hunter. To fuel his horrific rituals, he lured unsuspecting sailors to his island. He altered the waters, creating phantom lights and false horizons that wrecked Muggle ships against the sharp black rocks. The survivors were dragged into his fortress. There, in the damp, echoing chambers, they met fates worse than death. For years, the screams of his victims were swallowed by the roaring sea. No one came for them. No one knew they were gone. But dark magic of that scale leaves a scar on reality. It alters the very air, the very soil. When Ekrizdis finally died, presumably in the 11th century, the concealment charms he had placed on the island dissolved. The Ministry of Magic, tracking unusual magical anomalies, finally discovered the fortress. What the Aurors found when they stepped on those black shores shook the magical government to its core. The fortress was empty of living humans, but it was far from abandoned. Decades of unmentionable cruelty, pain, and dark rituals had decayed the very environment. The dark magic had seeped into the stone, creating something entirely new, something that had never walked the earth before. The Dementors. They were not born, they grew like fungus in the dark, spawned from the rot of human despair and Ekrizdis' malice. They crawled from the shadows of the fortress, eyeless, decaying sheets of pure agony, feeding on the remaining traces of joy in the atmosphere. The ministry officials realized the terrifying truth. The island was alive with an unkillable, multiplying nightmare. They considered destroying the fortress, but they feared the revenge of the creatures. If left without a home, the Dementors would flood the wizarding world. And so, the island was left alone for centuries, until a darker purpose was found for it. This is the true legacy of Ekrizdis, a madness so deep it birthed the anchors of despair.